Staff's ready? All right. Let's go ahead and call to order this Employee Benefit Trust Workshop for August 11th, 2026. Who's going to start us off?
Okay.
Oh, do we have any public comments? Excuse me.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Welcome to the EBT meeting. So I think we are finally at a finish line. Todd over here with Alara is going to kind of do a high-level presentation again, kind of a scaled-down version of state of healthcare, kind of just recapping what we've done for the public, and of course, for our teams. Just kind of updating y'all. We've met with every single department, or at least a good portion of everybody, and I would say, at least 2/3. Gotten a lot of good feedback. Alara has kind of ran to ground, a lot of those things that we had questions on, put fact sheets out there. So we got a lot of information out there and I'd say a lot of great feedback on the direction that we're going to be presenting tonight. So, Mayor, with that, turn it over to you.
Thank you. Would you like to proceed?
It's a presentation up there.
There we go.
All right, so I'll go ahead and get started. My name is Todd Peter, and I'm a senior partner with the Alara Group. And I've been doing employee benefits for too long. This is my 30th year. Alara Group is a national firm, and it's basically kind of known for buying small boutique firms. So maintaining kind of a local presence and a high touch, but having all of the national tools. I ran benefit solutions here for 25 years, and kind of our tagline was Hill Country Values, National Strength. So this kind of fits in with the kind of folks that I want to work with. An exceptional team of people, working with your management team here. It's been fun to work with them. So our pillars of the services that we offer are employee benefits, risk management, wealth management to include retirement plans, and individual insurance. We're top 10 in wealth management, top 15 individual, and I think we're around 12 to 14 in risk management employee benefits. So quite a bit of benefits under management. So first, your Blue Cross Renewal, which was really ugly, and we're seeing that, unfortunately, across the market space. And a lot of our clients. With Blue Cross Blue Shield, right now we're seeing an average of a 28% increase across all market segments, and that's before they consider your claims. So that's a super healthy group, a bunch of young bucks that aren't using a lot of medications, et cetera. They're still seeing very large increases. So you guys are not alone. It's something that's happening across the board. So your renewal with Blue Cross Blue Shield on your fully insured plan was a 42% increase. We were able to negotiate that down to roughly a 32% increase, which is still a tough pill to swallow. So obviously we were looking at some other alternatives for you. So we sent out the information for the city of Kerrville to many different carriers, different funding mechanisms from fully insured, self-insured, level funded. If you notice there, the proposal status, a lot of companies declined to quote. In the large group market, unlike the small group market, they don't have to provide you proposals. So if they don't feel like they're competitive or they're scared of your risk, they just don't provide a quote. Some years you would have many more options presented than what you guys have made available to you this year. Oops. So the medical marketing summary, on the fully insured market, your renewal, like I said, with Blue Cross was a 42% increase. We negotiated that to 32. We also received proposals from United Healthcare with a 29% increase and a 33% increase. And I would argue that those plans were not as good as what your current plan is either. And the network is far subpar, basically, to the Blue Cross Blue Shield network. Down at the bottom, you see all the self-funded proposals that we received. And what we're looking at for you guys is the $125,000 individual stop loss, expected cost a little over $6 million. So this is the main slide, probably the most important slide of any of the ones we have. This is the reason why we're looking at going the self-funded route. This is a slide that was created by an actuary in our office, and I would argue that this is extremely conservative. The Blue Cross line that you see there, they're assuming roughly a 10% increase or a medical trend increase over the next 5 years, and I think that's dreaming in color a little bit. Um, I would expect that number, those numbers would be a little bit higher than that in actual reality. The green line is the self-funded, and we're showing that basically every year self-funding is going to result in a cheaper overall plan cost for you. And again, that was extremely conservative. Those lines that you see there do not include any of the cost-saving mechanisms that we can include. That's not including the savings that we expect to get from the network, your prescription drug rebates, et cetera. So again, very, very conservative. So the network that we're looking at for you guys is Healthcare Highways, which again is probably the thing that people have never heard of. And I wouldn't be surprised if you hadn't. In the self-funded world, Healthcare Highways is one of the most popular networks. Those of you who have gray hair, you've been around here for a while, you may remember the network Texas True Choice, right? It was the largest non-carrier owned network. And the man who founded that, his name is Michael Wilson. He's kind of a disruptor in the marketplace. He sold that for roughly $54 million back right before the Affordable Care Act hit, which again was brilliant because of all the consolidation, all those companies that didn't own their own network, they kind of went by the wayside to kind of see how things went. Everybody recruited him back because costs have risen so much. Self-funding is becoming more and more popular, and therefore the need for these alternate networks is greater than it's been in a long time. So he's the founder of this network. So he leveraged all of his relationships with Texas True Choice over the years in putting this together. The reason I take time to tell you that is that we are not trying to put in a skinny or a narrow network, okay? What we're trying to do is the employees of the city of Caribou, we want them to see the same providers that they've been seeing in the past. We're just trying to get these services for them at a better cost for them, for the city, and overall be able to increase benefits over the course of time by getting some of those savings. So we're trying to bend the cost curve, which you really can't do in a fully insured market space. Basically throughout the state, not just in Kerrville, you have great provider access. There's a bunch of numbers up there that don't really mean anything. They're all statistics, but basically long and short of it is locally, what I have done so far is gone around to all the primary care, the OBGYN offices, the primary care in Fredericksburg. And even though they're listed as in network, some of the receptionists and those kinds of people that you may call and ask if they're in network, I want to make sure that they see my face, they have my business card, they have all the information they need to know that they are in network. Locally, I've only run into two hiccups, two people who were listed as being in network. They were contracted through a third party and weren't aware of it and didn't want to play. That affects 13, one was 6 and 7 respectively. And then there's about 5 or 6 other folks. So you have a total of somewhere around 20, 25 members that were adversely affected by the network change locally, which in the scope of things is amazing. They only have that little of disruption. Even with that disruption, we're still working with those folks and trying to convince them to join the network. And we have a whole team at Kempton that is working on that as well. Also, looking through the network, like I said, I'm local here, very familiar with everything that's going on here. If you know my wife, she is a counselor, right? Rosa knows her. And so mental health is something that is very important to our community right now. So that's one of the first things that I did is I put together a network of mental health providers. They'll be meeting in my office next Friday, and we're going to get all of those folks contracted. Any of these networks, doesn't matter who the third party network is, they typically kind of one of their weak points is behavioral health. It always is. because there's EAP plans that your folks can get some services through. And we've contracted with a company called TPN, which is a mental health provider network. And like I said, we'll have roughly 10 folks in my office getting contracted next Friday. Most importantly is 3 of those folks, all of the folks in town who do ART therapy. If you're not familiar with ART therapy, it's something that is very, very useful for people with PTSD. So I used to be a law enforcement officer too. So I too have seen things that I can't get out of my head. It's just part of the deal, right? So you've got a lot of first responders that can really benefit from those therapies. And the way it's going to be set up in the plan, they'll be able to see providers 5 times free of charge through the EAP. And then through the TPN providers, they'll also have discounted services as well. So that's something that I think is really important, and it's especially important right now. A lot of folks are seeing providers right now through the generous donations from some of the private charities around here, but I'm sure those dollars will dry up, just like we've seen in some of the other areas. So I want to make sure that all those folks are on board. Also, in searching this network, um, searching networks is a hard task with any carrier because you don't know how the providers have actually contracted. Sometimes they're contracted through their facility. Sometimes they're contracted through the lead physician within the office. So you may look, for example, in the provider directory and not see somebody who's actually in network. So we've been working with the employees and trying to show them that these people, yes, they in fact are in network, and answering any questions that they might have already. So we're trying to make this as seamless as possible, the transition on 10/1. And I'm excited about the savings that I think this is going to bring overall to the city. So our self-funded, our recommended quote, what you see here is in self-funding, you have fixed costs and you have variable costs. Your fixed costs are going to be some of the ones that you see there. Your specific premium, so that specific insurance, that pays for basically any claims that go over 125,000. So if a member's claims go over 125,000, it's insurance to pick up those claims. Your aggregate premium, that's if your overall claims become higher than your maximum claims liability. That kicks in again to prevent any excess losses to the city. Your medical administration, that's going to be your third-party administrator. That's going to be the Kempton Group out of Oklahoma City, which the Kempton Group, we chose them for a host of reasons, not just cost. They're one of, I think, 3 TPAs that still exist that don't have private equity money in them. So it's still run, the old-fashioned high-touch way. So I think they're going to be a good partner to transition from fully insured. And they also work really, really hard on bringing people that are out of network into network in single case agreements. These are all things that you didn't see with Blue Cross Blue Shield. So when you call Kempton, there's a care advocate that's actually working for your employee to get the cost down for them and for the city. Your fixed cost, also your PPO access is $15.95 an employee per month. So the total annual fixed costs are roughly $1 million. Expected claims are roughly $5 million. And those expected claims is assuming no cost containment measures and strictly based upon your historical claims data plus trend, which is roughly 10%. And the projection was done by the reinsurance carrier. All that to say that we hope that number is much lower than 5 million as far as your claims. Just on the prescription drug side, the specialty medication side, there should be around $500,000 in savings just on that alone. And then if you take all your claims buckets, we expect to save 15 to 20% by using Healthcare Highways versus the Blue Cross network. So we're expecting that number to be significantly lower. Let's see, this is your self-funded proposed plan design. Everybody has looked through these, and I know the management folks over there have talked to the employees. A lot of them are scared about network change, which is likely and common and expected, especially in a public entity. But as far as the plan itself, we took the best plan that you guys had last year and we made it a little bit better. So we took your best plan, we lowered the deductible by $500. Your office copays, you used to have an office copay and a specialist copay. We combined those, so they're both $40 instead of paying something higher for a specialist. On the drug plan side, we lowered the generic copay down to $5. And within the pharmacy services, what you'll have that's different than Blue Cross Blue Shield is some of the folks that are taking the high dollar specialty drugs will have some other options available that can bring the cost down for them. So we're hoping to get a lot of savings through that program. So same drugs, just a lower cost, and significant lower cost, sometimes 25 cents on the dollar, just by purchasing it through a different location. On the HSA side, putting the HSA in, that has a $6,000 max out of pocket versus the $8,000 on your copay plan. And with the $500 contribution that is proposed to each member, essentially their out-of-pocket maximum is $5,500, which is excellent compared to the market space. Also with the HSA, for the employees' benefit, even though a lot of these charges are subject to the deductible, you still receive the PPO discounts on all those services, which the PPO discount can be extremely high. At a hospital, it's probably around 60%. Lab and X-ray could be 80-85%. So they're still going to be enjoying those discounts, even though they have a plan that has a higher deductible. And those folks that have family members covered, this is going to be a viable option that's less expensive if you're covering dependents. So the contributions, again, from where we found all of this to where we're at right now, I'm very excited that we were able to get the costs down. For the folks that are covering family members, they're going to see an increase of $10 to $30 a pay period. Those folks who are employee only will still be able to get both of these programs at no cost. Any questions about the medical so far? Okay. So we'll move on to the ancillary products. This is going to be the dental, the vision, disability, the life products, and then some of the worksite marketing products. Again, these are all the different carriers that we submitted the information to. Again, many of them declined to quote because they weren't competitive. And we expect that in the ancillary market. If we keep you in the best price products, the next year, you're probably still going to be in the best price products. But we were able to bring in some new products this year that will enhance the benefit or be slightly cheaper. So in the core benefits, these are benefits that the city actually contributes to. You can see the dental, the long-term disability, and the basic life insurance. On the dental, principal was slightly cheaper, but it wasn't cheap enough to warrant changing. So our recommendation is going to be to keep Blue Cross Blue Shield as far as the dental. So no changes in network, no disruption to anybody, same plan, same price, same contribution. Long-term disability, Mutual Omaha was cheaper by 9%, and so we'll be recommending making a change to that. On the life insurance, basically the life insurance, the base life insurance that the city provides, Mutual Omaha basically is the same cost, so no change. On voluntary benefits, you can see vision. Almost everybody was cheaper than VSP, which is the current vision provider. And the reason for that is that there's really only two provider networks in vision plans. There's VSP and there's iMed. And everybody just kind of white labels over and puts their logo on it. But the VSP network is going to be the broader network, not only locally, but throughout the state. So there's percentages and there's numbers, right? 11% savings on a $3 premium didn't make sense to to switch to one of those other carriers. Then you have short-term disability, which Mutual of Omaha matched. And then on your voluntary life and AD&D, Mutual of Omaha matched that. But I'm excited about this. I mean, how excited can you be when you're dealing with insurance? But this is something that's going to be a good benefit for the employees. A lot of employees will have some kind of medical condition that will not allow them to get life insurance. So the guaranteed issue amount that these providers will offer is important. So we were able to keep the rates the same as they are right now, but increase the guaranteed issue amount to $250,000 for every employee. So any employee that wants $250,000 of coverage literally will check a box and they get it. So that's a nice benefit. Also, the maximum, it will now be $500,000 is the most insurance that you can actually get, which was a sizable increase as well. On the worksite products, those are your AFLAC products. There's only a handful of people, I think, that are still utilizing the AFLAC products. The downside to those products is that typically those have to be serviced by a third party. And the way that the AFLAC products work, the commissions are front loaded, which means they have to run around and sell in order to make a living. So they're hard to find to get service typically from AFLAC folks. When I was running my business for 25 odd years, I did all the AFLAC benefits myself for that reason, but that's very rare. Most of the time you have to deal with those folks. So what we're bringing in, instead of those individually underwritten AFLAC products, which means they ask medical questions, not everybody qualifies for them. What we're bringing in through Mutual of Omaha is similar products that are group products. They're up to 50% cheaper, and we service them, and they're in Employee Navigator. So the enrollment system that everybody enrolls in, those products will be listed in there. So you don't have to do anything special like you had to do with AFLAC. So our recommendations on the ancillary products is, again, keep Blue Cross Blue Shield for dental, which I think will make a lot of people happy. Whoever you're seeing right now, you don't have to worry about whether they're in network or not. Basically the same thing on vision. And then for the other products, we're going to use the Mutual of Omaha package for all those other services. Again, the big advantage to that is on the life insurance side. So no change in cost, but they're able to get $250,000 guaranteed issue in a true open enrollment, which means at open enrollment, anybody can upgrade their benefits to $250,000. In some situations, if it's not a true open enrollment, only your new people would be eligible. So everybody will be able to select up to $250,000 of coverage. So that is the 30,000-foot view, just basically a review. I don't think there was anything new in there that we hadn't discussed previously. Do you all have any questions?
So you mentioned that for the 20 to 30 members who are now facing out-of-network care, you said as a small number out of a large group, but to those 20 to 30, it's
Certainly.
a big number.
Certainly.
What are the chances we're going to get those into network?
Well, there's basically two providers that are local that represent 13 folks. There's roughly 6 or 7 others that were either optometrists, they were nurse practitioners who basically they billed incorrectly. They should have billed through the facility. And then there was a couple of counselors. So the counselor situation will be remedied by the networking that I'm already doing. The two providers that were 6 employees and 7 employees respectively, one of them was a problem last year with Blue Cross Blue Shield as well. And I think they just prefer cash. And I don't think they want to do insurance at all. So I'm not optimistic that those two particular providers will be able to do anything with. One is a specialist, one is primary care / pain. And that's why he's had heartburn over the years, is dealing with insurance and pain management is always a problem. So he's got a bad taste in his mouth, and I don't think that we're going to be able to change that.
What do we tell those employees?
Well, those particular employees, everybody else pretty much in town is in network. If they can, I mean, right now, those folks that are seeing the one that I was just referring to are paying cash right now, because he does not accept the Blue Cross HMO. So there's going to be those situations. I mean, if we switch to United Healthcare or we switch to Aetna, I honestly believe there would be more disruption.
An
So
employee pays cash for care, can they still file a claim,
sure.
possibly being reimbursed for that?
Certainly. So one thing that is different, so if you use an out-of-network provider with these folks, they're going to, first of all, they're going to try to get that person to join the network. If that doesn't work, then they're going to try to get them to agree to a single case agreement. This is typically, you're going to find these in the specialist and in the larger claims. You know, a $100 office visit claim, you know, the difference in out-of-pocket versus in-network is small. But when you get into some of these larger ones, you've got a team who's going to try to bring them in network. They're going to try to do a single case agreement, and they're going to negotiate with them. So that's something that you have that you didn't have with Blue Cross. Blue Cross, if you went to somebody out of network, you're just out of luck, right? They'll just bill you for the excess charges next year when you get your renewal.
Anyone have questions for Mr. Peter?
Well, I did have a chance to visit with Kim, great presentation, but I had some questions about some of the obstacles that she's heard from employees,
Mhm.
and it seems like some of them were very technical and they were resolved. So I was really happy to hear that some of the issues that, I mean, sometimes it's a matter of what, if you put the first or last name of the doctor into the network, and
Correct.
you should do it last name, and they do. So it's little things like that, and those are certainly, resolvable, which made me feel better. And then it looks like we have a lot of meetings lined up to really try to infiltrate all the employees, this information. I think the report kind of speaks for itself. I think I really am in favor of this. It's just now a matter of comforting the employees' confidence in this program, which I think that staff is doing a great job, and this certainly helps me feel the same way. So thank you very much.
I've had the opportunity to talk to some staff and department heads as well as others, and very well received. The biggest thing that scares people is change, and but the feedback that I've gotten from it, this is awesome, and thank Dalton and Kim. 7% or 37% or 35%. It's a great way to look out for our employees and give them the benefits that they very well deserve. But unfortunately, it's a rate increase, but it's nothing like we had last year. So thank y'all for your work on that. And Todd, thank you for stepping in and helping out and doing your part with the city as well. So
Yes,
much
sir.
appreciated.
Can you speak to those who are contributing to voluntary life? What will happen to their accounts?
So you're on voluntary life. So right now, if somebody, let's say, has a $100,000 policy, they'll just have the opportunity to increase that if they want to do so. At open enrollment, they'll be able to select whatever amount they want up to $250,000. So nothing will really change unless they want to increase their amount. It'll be the same cost per thousand. They'll just pay the additional amount to get the additional coverage.
But what they were paying into with Lincoln Financial, is that what happens with that account that they were paying into?
I'm sorry. We're talking about group term life, so that there wouldn't be any equity basically built into the policy.
Basically paying a premium for the coverage versus it going into an account that's collecting over time.
Okay, perfect.
Correct.
Okay.
All right, we five are meeting at this moment, not as the city council, but as the trustees of the Employee Benefit Trust. It says on our agenda that we have to consider and approve the fiscal year 2026 employee benefit plans, rates, and funding. I looked through the agenda and the agenda bill, and I don't see exactly what motion you seek from us during this meeting. Thank you, ma'am. Oh, everybody has one. Thank you. Thank you. All right, so what we five are asked to do at this time is approve those plans, and there's a specific recommend action.
Well, I move that the city council, acting as the trustees of the city of Kerrville Employee Benefit Trust, approve fiscal year 2027 employee benefit plans, associated premium rates, and funding strategy as presented. Authorize the use of the employee benefit reserve if necessary to support the approved funding, and authorize the city manager to execute all necessary agreements and contracts for the selected benefits.
I'll second.
Jeff won that one.
Oh,
Just
Jeff
barely.
won.
Motion been made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, so vote. All right, it passes unanimously. Again, thank you to staff for your hard work on this. Thank you, Mr. Peter, for your help on this. Maya, thank you for your help on this. I think in some instances, people feel like it's management is on one side of the table and employees are on the other side of the table, when in fact, management and employees are on one side of the table and the insurance companies are on the other side of the table. And both through this new way to deal with employee benefits and through the consistently hard and thoughtful work of senior staff, Maya, I think we come up with a solution that meets most of everyone's needs as best as we can. But we're all on the same side of the table. We're all facing the insurance industry, the healthcare industry. And that's not something this council can control. That's not something staff can control. We are doing the best we can in a market that just sees incredible year-over-year cost increases. So thank you for your help, and thank you for your help. If there's nothing else for this workshop, I'm going to go ahead and adjourn us at 5:33.